The protagonist of the story, Lucas, is kneeling in tears before his wife, Bella. He begs her consent to divorce, bows to the floor. Bella smirks contentedly at seeing his humiliation and agrees to divorce. She sits relaxed on a chair, looking down at Lucas bowing. Pushing a man with her foot, she wants to know what he can offer her in response to the divorce. Lucas can barely hold back the tears that come to his eyes, biting his lips at this humiliation. His life is not going well, and the reason for this is his family, namely his hated father. All day long, the old man drinks or gambles, raises his voice at his already adult son. After his mother's death, Lucas lived with him because he was his only family, although the man did not pay any attention to his son. Lucas is forced to take a lot of part-time jobs outside of office work so as not to go broke. He also works in a diner as a waiter to feed himself. One day, he sees a family, a father and a young son who have entered their diner. The child is naughty and spills water. The father turns to Lucas for a towel or napkins. Despite the fact that the child is not aware of the inconvenience caused, the father does not yell at him, but takes care of him. He understands that he is jealous of such family closeness of other people. At home, his father, once again drunk, asks to lend him 10 million won. Lucas is shocked by such a request, as it is a lot of money for him. He tries to reason with his father, but he promises to return the borrowed in double. He talks about the emergence of a new currency that should completely change the future, and in which he wants to invest. Lucas replies that he cares more about hard-earned money than a dubious chance of making money. The father does not want to hear any excuses. He admits that he has always been hopeless, drank, and raised his hand against his son. However, now he asks Lucas for another chance to change. The father asks for it so desperately that tears come to his eyes. Lucas is annoyed, but he cannot refuse his father and eventually agrees to his request. But he wants too much to save their family, to try to make it normal. He wants to trust his father for the last time and lends him money. He actively thanks Lucas, hugs him, and promises that his son will not regret it. Nevertheless, his joyful cries do not inspire Lucas with much hope for success, and for good reason, since very soon the last relative of Lucas also leaves for another world. He holds his father's funeral, and thoughts about the currency he bought fade into the background. Lucas's father died in a car accident. According to experts, he lost control due to the rain and died on the spot. Lucas feels sad about losing the last member of his family, but at the same time, he feels free. In mixed feelings, he spends his time drinking a drink, as his father did not long ago. Left alone, he reflects on the strangeness of his life. On the TV, which he watches at dinner, they show an interview with a young man. Despite his young age, he has already achieved great success and is working in the investment field. Lucas ponders whether that big success is buying a house or something else. However, it turns out that we are talking about large assets in the amount of 4 billion Korean won, which makes Lucas cough. The host asks the young man what he invested in, and he reveals that he chose bitcoins, the same currency that Lucas's father was talking about. Lucas puts two and two together and realizes that the man on screen has made a fortune doing something he didn't believe in. He looks at his phone lying on the table, wanting to make sure he heard everything correctly, and downloads the online wallet. The host reflects on how profitable it would be to invest in Bitcoin at the very beginning of his journey. The interviewee is sure that no one expected such an active price increase. But if someone had invested in it at the time Lucas's father did, his investment would have grown 2,500 times. Lucas has a huge amount of money on his account, and he almost faints, unable to believe what he saw. The rise in the price of Bitcoin has driven many around the world crazy, and Lucas feels like he's barely holding on. He has 25 billion won in his account, which is 2,500 times more than his initial investment. Lucas spends the entire evening shocked, rechecking his online wallet every now and then. To refresh his head, Lucas rides his bike down the street despite the cool weather. Even after a while, he still can't believe that he has more than 20 billion on his account. At home, he can't stop checking the market price, which is changing at an incredible speed, so he decided to change the scenery. The amount in his account increased by several hundred million more overnight. Lucas cannot decide whether he should sell his assets now because he already has a huge amount. He returns to his dilapidated house, torn apart by contradictions. He thinks that since he has been thrifty all his life, he will be able to be patient. But curiosity is stronger than him, and Lucas decides to check his savings once again. He prays in unbelief, covered with sweat, because the amount changes once again. During the time he went to clear his head, his assets increased by another $2 million, which means that he already has 2 billion won. Despite the increased wealth, Lucas still goes to work in the office. The head of the department to which the hero belongs reflects at a meeting about the company's possible customers. Employees of the company discuss possible risks from cooperation with a clinic located in Busan. The head of the department suggests that someone from the group will need to be sent to Busan on a business trip. Except for Lucas, no one takes the initiative in this matter. Everyone averts their eyes. The head of the department tries to find out if Lucas is sure, as he looks very tired. But Lucas just spends all his time researching his assets. So Lucas says that everything is fine. The head of the department decides that Lucas will need another person to help him. Then Sue, one of the most beautiful and popular girls in the company, volunteers to go with the hero to Busan. Lucas's colleagues look at her, dreaming of spending time together. Other male employees immediately start shouting that they also want to go on a business trip. But the boss decides that 2 people are enough, and Lucas and Sue will go to Busan. The heroes go to their destination by car to solve business issues. Sue says she loves to drive the car her brother sold her last year. Busan is Sue's hometown, and if she used to go home often, now she has a lot of work and sports on weekends, so there is no time. They chat for a while, and Lucas wonders what to do with his life now that he has a lot of money. The trip takes place at a leisurely pace and pleasant communication between Lucas and Sue. When they stop to take a break from the road, Lucas buys the girl coffee. He is surprised that his colleagues are so eager to discuss work issues with Sue, and she thanks Lucas for his help. Sue fidgets, embarrassed, and averts her eyes, her cheeks flushed. Finally making up her mind, she turns to Lucas to see if he wants to go shopping with her in the evening. Sue hasn't gone shopping for a long time, and she also has something to talk about. Lucas thinks about her suggestion, but decides that it would be nice to distract himself. Therefore, he agrees, and later the 2 of them go shopping. First of all, they go to a clothing store and look at business suits. Lucas, who has lost the habit of shopping, does not understand why he cannot order the same thing on the internet, but at a more pleasant price. Sue suddenly offers Lucas help in choosing and buying a suit, and Lucas is surprised by such an offer. Clothes are a kind of bribe because the girl has an awkward request. Lucas has enough money for shopping, so he demands that Sue stop delaying the awkward conversation. Blushing with all her might, Sue chooses her words and finally asks Lucas to act as her boyfriend in front of her parents. He is stunned, but Sue explains that the younger sister already has a partner and the parent is rushing Sue into a relationship. Blush at such an unexpected request, Lucas tries to comprehend it. But still, he agrees to help his colleague, and in the evening they go to a restaurant. Sue's parents are very happy to meet their daughter's chosen one. They communicate politely with Lucas, make jokes, and try to please him. They wonder if the characters work for the same company, and Lucas confirms it. Sue's mother is curious about how they became friends, and Lucas explains that they became close when he taught her the basics of their work. This answer suits the parents, and they continue their peaceful meal. Lucas recalls a completely different dinner with his ex-wife's relatives in terms of emotions. They were negatively and aggressively disposed towards him, raised their voices. They also asked a lot of questions about the hero's parents, who had already died by that time. Inundating questions about money and real estate, they pressured Lucas that after the wedding, he would be obliged to help them with money. Lucas felt terrible pressure and contempt in his direction from them. The opinion of Lucas himself was of no interest to anyone, and he did not manage to impress the relatives of his ex-wife. Sue's parents warmly and kindly accepted him and made him feel peace. The girl's mother asks if Lucas liked the food, and he actively praises her. The experience he shares during his fake date with Sue is completely different from the one he has already experienced in his previous marriage. After the meeting, they warmly said goodbye to Sue's parents, who were pleased with this meeting. The girl's mother subtly hints to her that she does not need to return home to spend the night. Lucas reflects that only money helped him not to feel uncomfortable that evening because his ex-wife trampled on his confidence. Sue's mother, laughing at the girl and her chosen one, asked them to give birth to their granddaughter first. Lucas is embarrassed by the sweat of such a warm welcome. He hears Sue's parents reasoning that he is not bad for their daughter. After meeting their parents, Lucas and Sue go for a walk on the beach. Sue bows to Lucas in embarrassment and apologizes. She is very embarrassed about the evening, but Lucas immediately tries to calm her down. The girl replies that she saw his tense expression due to bad memories from her parents' questions. Lucas realizes that Sue knows about his previous marriage and rushes to calm her down. His parents treated him kindly, and the food was delicious, so he was not offended. But since the girl is still regretting, he suggests that she smooth out the situation by walking around interesting places. Sue immediately plunges into thinking about how to plan the best route. She is so lost in her thoughts that she walks ahead of Lucas and he calls her to slow down. However, he realizes that Sue is just very interested in the task and exhales with a chuckle. Sue's mother's words that she is very stubborn get proof. Suddenly, Sue's eyes turn to something on the beach and she has an idea. She points Lucas to the place where she wants to take him. Looking at the seat makes Lucas feel uncomfortable and grins nervously. Sue's interest turns out to be a fortune teller's tent located nearby on the beach. When the heroes decide to tell fortunes, Sue gets a good result as she has good and pure energy. The fortune teller describes the girl on the positive side, both as a colleague and as a person. Sue is very happy that luck will help her in life. Nevertheless, the fortune teller draws attention to the fact that quite recently, Sue missed a chance for something. The fortune teller says that she needs to be braver and not hesitate. Lucas listens to their conversation out of the corner of his ear. He absolutely does not believe in these fortune telling. The fortune teller says that Sue will still have another chance and she must be strong and attentive. Lucas can barely hold back a sigh at the fortune teller's words. However, Sue persuades the man to take part in the fortune telling. According to the girl, the fortune teller is trustworthy, but Lucas has no questions that he would like to ask her. He tries to shift the focus to Sue's interests again, but the tenacious gaze of the fortune teller is already riveted on him. The first thing that the unknown woman tells about him concerns the hungry times that Lucas went through, and this shocks him. He is dumbfounded that the fortune teller knows about the poverty in which he lived in his youth. However, Lucas, according to the fortune teller, was able to catch great luck, and she even envies him. The fortune teller advises Lucas to travel around the world and experience a lot, because it will allow him to multiply his luck even more. She assures him that Lucas can live as he wishes without looking back at the past, and he will succeed. Sue casually tries to find out how lucky Lucas is in his personal life. Lucas immediately plunges into thinking about the words of the fortune teller and has no idea how to change his lifestyle. However, he was still pleased to hear good predictions. When it comes time to pay for fortune telling, Lucas is horrified by the large amount, although he has hundreds of times more on his account. Nevertheless, they leave the fortune teller in high spirits. Sue invites Lucas to eat a CEO with her at the market. She takes the still, thoughtful man by the jacket and leads him. Lucas doesn't know what to expect from the future yet, but he's starting to feel interested in it. In total, the heroes need 4 days to establish work in Busan, after which they return from a business trip. Lucas returns from a business trip to his abandoned apartment. He immediately rushes to the computer to check the Bitcoin rate. At first, he is horrified that he did not sell the assets sooner because he lost 200 million. But very soon he earns 300 million per hour. He exhales with relief, but still does not understand what to do with the assets. He is mentally exhausted because he spent the whole weekend watching the Bitcoin rate. He is tormented by doubts about when to sell assets and whether it is worth doing it at all. But then the weekend passes and he goes back to work in the office. During lunch, he listens to colleagues discuss real estate investments. As a result, Lucas was never able to rest properly, and therefore he is not focused enough. Now he has 40 billion won in his account and is wondering if the price of Bitcoin can rise even higher. Colleagues curiously try to find out how their trip to Busan went with Sue, and the man says that he is calm. Older colleagues make fun of Lucas about this in a friendly way. Lucas's colleagues return to the discussion of investments again. The manager, whose deputy Lucas is, says that he is thinking about investing in Bitcoin, and this makes Lucas shudder. Men reflect on the fact that they should have invested earlier, then they would have earned more. They decide to study in detail the issue of possible investment in Bitcoin. Conversations about cryptocurrency are becoming more and more lively. This time, Lucas focused his attention on the conversation. After hearing the discussions of his colleagues, he decides that Bitcoin will continue to grow. This makes him, consumed by greed, want to wait and not sell his assets yet. He continues to keenly monitor the changes in the price of Bitcoin in the market. Lucas is shocked that the price of Bitcoin has fallen a lot recently, and he has lost 6 billion won. During the next break at work, he goes out to get some fresh air. The lost money haunts him. Lucas cannot come to his senses. The amount he lost